Welcome to the Anti-Think Tank. Justin, I'd like you to make very loud noises to wake our co-host Ryan up just right quick.
Scream in the middle of the night, wake your girlfriend up.
No, she's already awake.
Do it again.
Okay, let me go get some pots and pans for a second.
Open her mind's eye.
Alright, man, it's not waking up, but you know what will wake him up? The fact that the whole country just got woken up to the fact that if you were an actor in a Nickelodeon show between 1990 and 2017, you're in therapy now, because that shit was wild.
But dude, growing up, I was a huge fan of Drake and Josh. Yeah.
As all should be.
It was kind of a stun.
It hit. I mean, let's just be honest. You know, like the foam finger episode. All right, actual classic. The episode where they get locked inside their own treehouse because Drake forgets to make a door. Like actual childhood forming material.
I'm not gonna lie. Fucking when they started talking about Brian Peck and they said like, yeah, he did molest he actually assaulted one of the kids that worked at Nickelodeon, and they're like, oh, we don't know who it is. Did he really do it? It was one of our actors, really? And then I'm just kind of like, oh, who is it? And then of course, the episode leaves at a cliffhanger with Drake Bell sitting in the chair. I'm like, no, don't let it be Drake.
Yeah. Like with for anyone who's not caught up, there was an extremely popular, extremely widespread docuseries, 4 episodes on HBO Max called Quiet on Set: The Dark Side of Kids Television, and it essentially chronicles the mismanagement, abuse, and just general terrible practices that happened on the filming of a lot of kids shows in Nickelodeon at the hands of a man named Dan Schneider. I want to say Jason Handy and Brian Peck. Those are the 3 main perpetrators, but there's a lot of terrible people responsible for a lot of stuff, and the documentary is really kind of shaking the country. Like I know a lot of people at work I know have been talking about it today, and it's just it's been very sad. It brought a lot of necessary stuff to light, though, I would say.
Yeah, like whenever I watched it, I made sure to open up a Google Doc and start writing notes about it. And unfortunately, there it is. I found it. Yeah, so I basically wrote down a bunch of thoughts that I was having in the moment. However, I had to stop in the middle of episode 2 because it had gotten so disgusting so quickly that I was afraid that whatever sin I put on the Google Doc that Saint Peter upon my passing would condemn me to whatever I wrote down. So episode 1.
It was. Are we talking? Wait. I imagine you had to stop writing Jason Handy's journal where he wrote his thoughts and the stuff he did.
Yeah. So Jason Handy was where I stopped writing. I have a little bit down about Jason Handy, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse. It starts off Dan Schneider seems to be a genuinely caring individual, a good dude to work with for the most part. And then some of the stuff seemed kind of stretchy, the Captain Big Nose having penises all over his body and the cum shot joke. It just didn't seem like that to me. It seemed more like a stock standard kids joke about sneezing on someone. Granted,
yeah,
the child actor should not have been forced to wear a leotard if they didn't want to. Yes, it was a superhero character,
yes.
But a child actor's comfort should always be the priority right after their safety. It seems more of a in hindsight observation to me that kind of misrepresents what the sketch was, either to fill time in the documentary or that the actor in question, rightfully so, feels kind of worried about the roles that he had to play. I will say that the description of the power imbalance between the actors and Dan Schneider It's fairly normal within the entertainment industry, talking about like, being close to the producer can lead to future roles and opportunities. The question that should rise up is whether or not it's morally acceptable for a child to be put into a situation where that can be abused or not. Like, producers calling out like Katrina Johnson's parents and saying, "Oh, Katrina's getting too fat. We can't have that since we already have a fat one." Just kind of shows
That
it's just disgusting. Like
that was that was actually one of the first ones that like really hit me when they said we've already got a fat one. I texted my sister and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this anymore. This is my one off day. Like this is
Like-
just so terribly depressing, and I'm so glad that I
Also-
watched it though.
Also, when it
Go on.
comes to Ryan, when you said something about the looking back on the sketch about the cum shot joke or whatever, and maybe you're saying maybe misinterpreted or whatever.
that specific
Fucking.
one, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Later on in the docuseries, I'm not sure how far you got onto it, but in one of the episodes of Zoe 101, they had something just like that. And everybody's laughing about it, but apparently even the
but
adult
we'd
cameramen,
actually discussed
producers,
that. Ryan, you said you thought like you
Yeah.
thought the first one was kind of like
Yeah.
like excusable, but I think as it goes on, it becomes a thing.
Like I said,
no,
I
because like
said
at the
this-
adults, they
Yeah, I said this specific one. Like it's important that it kind of takes like everything into context. Like the Zoe 101 one was very clearly a cum shot joke with a minor. Like that's fucking unacceptable. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that the Captain Big Nose one, like that. The most you could say about that one is it's a racist fucking joke. Like making the black kid play Captain Big Nose. Like that's
Yeah.
like fucked up, yeah, but it's not predatory in the same way.
Yeah, I think for me it's all. Did Dan get to him? Justin?
no, I was drinking my water, I choked on it.
That's not your water, bud.
Man left his fucking water next to Brian Peck and just he's not with us anymore.
Good lord.
Also the fact that Katrina Johnson got replaced by Amanda Bynes simply because Katrina hit puberty. Like that's like Amanda
It's
Bynes
so messed up.
obviously had like a shit ton of talent for her age, but like the fact that Katrina Johnson basically got removed from Nickelodeon entirely because she hit puberty, just like how was that even like a thing that was allowed to happen?
It's for me it's like the amount of time with which these practices went on unchecked is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. How did Dan run this company for what was it like over 20 years or about 20 years, right?
Yeah, somewhere between
Yeah.
20 and 30. So like early 90s
Yeah.
to like mid 2015s. So around 25.
That is insane.
I will say, from what the docuseries put forward, it doesn't look like Dan Schneider did anything. Like, he didn't touch a kid. However, his very close relationship with Amanda Bynes, that her father kind of like sculpted to keep her career going, doing the hot tub scene where he basically is just admitting, like, yeah, I wrote this to put you in this scenario, and then having the Ariana Grande stuff later on where she's like just sprayed out on the bed, getting just like basically doing a softcore porn shoot with what at the time was like a 15, 16-year-old girl. Like, it begins to make you wonder just how the other two fucking pedophiles were able to just make their way onto a Nickelodeon set and feel empowered enough to get away with it.
Can I also, speaking of that, but the pedophiles that were on the show, keep in mind the documentary highlights majority of those first two, Brian Peck and Mr. Handy, as I call him.
Mhm.
But there's a third one they mentioned. Remember?
Really?
It was very minor. It was very minor towards the end of the documentary. It was a very minor footnote in the history where this man was like an editor or he was stagehand essentially, right? And he was a registered sex offender, and he still got to work on Nickelodeon.
Dude, what happened to vetting people's backgrounds? Like, what is going
I
on?
don't know.
It did. I mean,
And apparently
I
he
pulled
molested a kid. Apparently,
Yeah, I pulled up the Wikipedia article for Brian Peck to like look through his history after all this happened. So he gets a very very light jail sentence. I think something like
6 years.
16
I think?
months.
yeah,
16 months.
yes, 16 months and then a parole. And so when he gets out, he approaches Disney Channel and gets on the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. You
Yep.
know, and
How, dude? How?
so he never goes on set with the other actors, and so Disney thankfully, like, I think somebody notified Disney of that he was a child rapist working on a kids network TV show, and they just immediately booted him off the fucking platform. But just the fact that he immediately gravitated back towards like children's TV and trying to get access to young boys again tells you exactly what he was gonna fucking do. It was not a remorseful thing.
Dude, like, there's literally a more in-depth like vetting process for this kind of stuff in like the fast food industry. I remember working at like just working at Arby's. I like our like I was uh, I wasn't close with I don't know if I want to say his name. Justin, you know who I mean. Big man with glasses.
Yeah.
But like I heard like a little bit of like him talking about like who he was hiring and everything, and I remember him like saying stuff about like, oh, this person has a so and so criminal history, can't do that, can't do this and that. So like if that's a common practice on the small level, why is it that in Hollywood it feels like it's the opposite, and all of these terrible people, it's just so easy for them to get in these jobs? Like literally all they had to do was just do like a 45-second search to see that this man is only getting this job so that he can continue his predatory activity, and then it wouldn't have happened. I don't understand. If there's one if there's one really good thing that's going to come out of this documentary, it's that Jason and Brian, they're literally gonna be living like the life of that of like a character in a TV show who like everyone starts to hate them and like just spit on them in the street and like throw coffee at them from the side of a car window.
Can we also highlight, like, not only did they mention the 3 pedophiles that actually worked at the Nickelodeon studios, but I want to throw a little side note in there. There was a episode of To Catch a Predator where they caught someone who was a freelance worker for Nickelodeon. Like, what is up with this shit?
I imagine that working at like a children's network like that, a predator would believe that it would give them more access and potentially power and control over a potential victim. Like, you could,
It's
in theory, like, they would probably be searching for a position on like SpongeBob or something because they could use that to lure an innocent child. Like,
Speaking of SpongeBob, fucking,
So
did you guys hear the new rumor or the new theory going around that in the episode where they get locked in the fucking dome during the hibernation with Sandy and it starts snowing and they say Dirty Dan? Like, there's a theory saying that was um the creator, the SpongeBob creator, that was his way of taking a stab at Dan Schneider.
I I oh, I want to believe it so bad.
I do too.
That like because that's already one of the most classic jokes in the entire series, and that would make it even better. Though that actually, I don't know if I like that because that means that they knew and didn't do anything. That's also annoying.
They
keep in
describe
mind-
it as a very open secret. Not the pedophile shit that was going on set, but like Dan Schneider being just a massive dickhead was a very open secret around Hollywood in general, not just Nickelodeon. There's a reason why he was kind of just like the children's entertainment guy under Nickelodeon, hasn't worked on anything since. Like they describe it in the docuseries as that Nickelodeon outright did not trust him to treat his actors humanely, so he had to go through a chain of command as a showrunner to get them to do things the way that he wanted. Like that is the he should have just been out. Like, if you can't trust him to treat someone with a level of respect that is deserving of a standard human being, he doesn't need to be working in any position of authority. Like, just cut him a check for his royalties and send him on his fucking way.
Like, if you can't treat people with respect, then he doesn't deserve to work at, like, Home Depot. Bro doesn't deserve a job. Treating people with respect is the minimum requirement for human interaction.
Like,
I'll be honest with you.
come on.
I'm also very sad that there was no like prequel or like a little footnote in this history of like pedophilia within Nickelodeon, because I can't pronounce his name, but the creator of Ren and Stimpy, John,
Ooh.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
pronounce
he
it.
was,
Like
he's
this,
one of the most well-known pedophiles that has ever worked in entertainment in general.
I know, but like it was at Nickelodeon Studios. He apparently had brought girls he called girlfriends to the animation studio, and they were well below the age of 18, and everybody knew about it. But I'm just shocked they didn't make a footnote. Like that wasn't like a little segment in the documentary to show that like this is like that was like wait was it 91, 1991 like that I feel like that would have been important to add.
Yeah, like, they even bring up Ren and Stimpy, but they don't ever bring up anything like that. They just bring up how important it was as an animation. But, like, yeah, the creator of that is a disgusting, vile human being.
He is.
Talking about
I-
the section of the docuseries starting like the Amanda Show, and like when women writers are describing working with Dan Schneider as the most disturbing of their entire careers, like he hires two of them and makes them split a salary, and it never happened to any of the male writers.
Oh yeah.
Like Dan Schneider
Oh my
saying some
fucking
shit
God.
like, I want you to name me one funny female writer. Like, I could name 3 off the top of my fucking head right now, and I'm like half asleep. Joan Rivers, Wanda Sykes, and Tiffany Haddish. Like,
I can name like 10. This whole misconception that people have, like people go to see like female Ghostbusters from 2016 and they're like, "Well, guys, I guess women aren't funny." Haha. It's like it's so stupid. Like watch an episode of Golden Girls and then come back to me, bro.
yeah, like it's so fucking stupid. It has to be just a we spoke a little bit of it when we were watching Shogun the other day, and you said like it has to be like a basically an inferiority complex, and he has to find some sort of way to make him feel superior to everybody around him because he was just the fat kid for most of his life.
That's definitely what it started with. Is like I think he was getting cast as the fat kid in these sitcoms where he was playing actors, and then he slowly rose up. And I think that the beginning point of his downfall and where he became a disgusting human being, I actually am going to go on record saying I think that there's a possibility that Brian and Jason started as disgusting human beings. I think that Dan had potential to rise up and become a good person, but the second that he put the word like taint in the Amanda Show and got away with it, and they were like, and they just let him do it. After that, he was like, I can get away with that. I can get away with this, and then it became a power thing. That is the beginning. Him getting away with that joke and the FCC letting him getting away with it. That is the beginning, in my opinion, of Dan becoming a monster.
I disagree slightly with that, specifically around the Penelope Taint joke. The character's name, it is a dirty joke. It's not predatory or abusive in any way, though. It's just like you can see in almost all children's media today jokes that are made that kids won't pick up on that adults will, to make sure that like the adults have a reason to tune in with their children. My issue when he has situations like forcing female writers to scream out, "I'm an idiot" and "I'm a slut." Like, that's abusive and predatory. It's very important to have like a distinction between the two things, because conflating like a dirty joke that would go over children's heads with actual abuse of power dynamic, it can make the latter seem a lot more tame whenever you're putting those in the same sort of room together.
I'm simply stating that I think that the Penelope taint thing I don't think is like outright oh my god like truly disgusting. I'm stating that I think it's the beginning of him realizing that he can get away with much worse.
All right, yeah, like
That's what I'm trying to say.
If we can make a tier list of all the terrible things that Dan Schneider's done to people, where would you rank the fucking massages?
The
that's pretty high up there. Like forcing female staff to give him massages throughout the day, like every single day. Like that's sexual harassment and abuse of power. Like it's
Yeah, I give that an S on the worst things.
S
give that
tier
shit
is
a
what he did. Like, I'll give it an A tier, right behind what he did to like Ariana Grande and like all the minor actors.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. There you go.
I see nothing wrong with it. Let me tell you why. I'm joking.
What the fuck?
I wanted to hit you with the let me tell.
That is
Okay, so no, my plan was to hit you with the let me tell you why, and then see how much silence I could let build, but I literally couldn't do it.
You can,
That's
getting
definitely
that
not going to
clip
take out
out
of context
context.
later.
What, right?
like, I'm just gonna go past it and just not even try and insinuate that someone out there is going to clip that and then just post it everywhere. I'll be outside your fucking work with a fucking boombox later. Don't worry.
No, like the massages are
Now,
terrible. The worst part of it was when there was someone on a completely separate writing staff, mind you, who was like crunching. She was like, I think she was working like a really long day. She had like 47 things going on, and then Dan called her and said, "Yeah, come give me a massage," and she just had to go. It's like, does Dan not understand that these are people who have work to do? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, like he was very predatory on like the minorities on the staff and the women. Like, if you were a female or a minority, Dan Schneider fucking hated you. Like, one of the things that comes to mind is one of those two female writers that were having to split their salary. Like, going up and making a bet with her and saying, "Oh, if you can eat 2 pints of ice cream in under 30 minutes, I'll give you $300." She does do it. She succeeds. She gets incredibly sick, and he just kind of like laughs and walks away and doesn't pay her.
Like
And
when
then
when
later
that
brings
wait,
her.
go on.
Like later on, like after he's like, "Oh, consider you kill this bug. I'll pay you $30." And she goes, "Oh, I'll put it on your tab." And then he brings her into his office to then berate her for even joking about him not paying her. Like, that's the level of just fucking ego in this man.
Like it I think that when it was first happening and she was saying, "Oh, the 2 pints of ice cream thing," I was at, like, he'll give her so and so money. I was thinking, like, this is the bad thing. Like, that seems like something fairly normal. Like, other than the fact that he's her boss, and that part's kind of weird. But the fact that he would just do stuff like that, and people would do it out of fear, and then he wouldn't pay them is just so. It's so gross. It's so terrible.
I will say it's very sad that no adult or there was no one there to help the adults or the staff or the crew about it until the whole Me Too movement came out and Dan got investigated. But when it came to the kids, let me just say this: God bless. I already forgot his fucking name. Give me a second. I don't know why I keep forgetting. Jerry Trainer.
Absolute G. Absolute G.
He's an absolute amazing man. This dude literally would intervene himself in between Dan Schneider and the kids.
Yeah.
He would get mad with Dan, but in a joking way. But deep down inside, he would be serious about it. And even though he was not needed on set or wasn't even part of the show on different sets, he would still be there to make sure everything was good. So God bless that man.
Jerry Trainer, in my opinion, Spencer is just the best character to come out of any of the Nickelodeon shows. I think he's a great character. I think Jerry Trainer portrays him very well, and to know that he was actually protective of Jeanette McCurdy, Nathan Kress, and Miranda Cosgrove behind the scenes is very, very good to know. I've heard nothing but good about Jerry Trainer. I can't believe he didn't have a big career in comedy after the show ended. Honestly,
Yeah. Like, Jerry Trainer, like you were saying, Spencer was like very formative for my sense of humor. Anyway, like
yeah, dude.
like as like him, like both of his characters really, like Spencer and Crazy Steve from Drake and Josh,
Cockadoodle
like,
doo, the cow says moo.
like the fucking "you ate my enchilada" joke, like it's a timeless classic. It's unfortunate that it was written by the man who got angry at a child actor for getting too big of a cake on her 13th birthday.
Bro, like that's the okay. If we want to get into it, just slightly, because I do think that it's important to go over this aspect. A lot of what the writing team and unfortunately Dan did come up with for these shows does hold up. Like some of it is so insanely funny, and that's what makes me sad. Is that I want to look back on it and be like, this is all just such crass garbage, but there is such good stuff in the shows that I think holds up very funnily, and it really really annoys me. It's so bad that everything was just so terrible, 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 terrible behind the scenes.
Yeah, like,
Could you say that you could? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It goes from like the scene of Spencer, like the elevator doors opening and Spencer walking out with a fucking ostrich and like, what do you got there? Oh, the smoothie. To, like, I can't look back at that joke and laugh as much because I just have the image of a female writer being forced to act out being sodomized as if it were a joke. Like, and then having that same person be retaliated against it wasn't her, it was her partner that got retaliated against for asking the Writers Guild about their wages being split between her and the one who had been forced to act out being sodomized.
Yeah. No, like, ah, man. It's terrible to know all that. And what were you also going to say, Justin?
So I was gonna say, like, so you guys agree that in this kind of situation, there's no way to separate the art from the artist? Because let's be honest, Dan Schneider also wrote some of those great jokes.
I know. I do know. It's This is a very tough one for me.
There's a distinctive way to do it. Like it's basically like support the artists that are performing it instead of the writer behind the scenes. It's the same way that I can enjoy the movie Jeepers Creepers. Jeepers Creepers is a sort of classic cult classic horror film that is basically a allegory for child predation made by an actual predator. Unfortunately, upon watching it, unless you knew about the director's history after his creation of this project, a lot of it would just go over your head and you just think it's a monster movie. But now looking back on it, I just enjoy it for like the scare aspect and everything else. But it does become kind of like you start thinking like, oh. So you're meaning that the predator who is attracted to fear picks out body parts on its victims to consume and make a part of him. He also drives around a big refrigerated van.
Yeah, that's the only part I know about it. The only part I know is the van. I actually haven't seen it.
Yeah, the creator of it is an actual fucking monster. I'm almost certain that he made the Jeepers Creepers character and like a couple of the parts of the movie off of his own like sick fantasies and shit, because you like it's hard to look back on the movie and separate it, but I'm not gonna condemn like the actual art that was made simply because like the actors involved gave it their fucking all, and made a pretty damn good product. Like, the special effects in the movie are fantastic. I could not listen to the fucking theme song for that for years. Anytime a dirty fucking van would drive by my house, I would get, like, I would freeze up in fear and eventually run away. I'm almost certain it saved me from a kidnapping at one point. Just
But see, like,
saved me
I
kind of
too can also
ironic.
separate. I can also separate the art from the artist because, like, when it, like back again, we're in Stimpy, knowing what he did and what he was doing behind the scenes. There's still such a very creative force of writers and producers and animators on that show that you kind of have to support it. Like they did an amazing fucking job, even if the creator was a pedophile.
Well, okay, so I feel like it also depends on the kind of art for me specifically, right?
Yeah.
There's different cases. So like I'm not personally a fan of Ren and Stimpy. I like when it would come on as a child, I'll be honest, it had the same effect as like Rugrats in that I didn't like the art style and I'm just not a fan of gross out type stuff, so uh, it just wasn't really for me. But it is like my dad really loves it and he says that he really likes it because of how creative and out there it was. And that's something where there was like a
Oh, it
team
was.
of and yeah, and it's something where there's like a team of writers involved in it. So it's not like there's just one person doing this. So I guess I could, if I wanted to watch Ren and Stimpy, I could just accept, okay, there's hundreds of people involved in this process, tons of writers going in and out of the room, tons of voice actors, tons of animators who made this. Perhaps I could still enjoy it in that way. Um, Whereas on the opposite end, there's a really, really famous and iconic anime and manga series called Rurouni Kenshin that I've wanted to enjoy for years, but the creator got caught with like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and like gigabytes or whatever of child porn on his computer and went to jail. And that is a situation in which, like with manga, like that's just one person. This is a single
Yeah.
person creating the story, and that's a situation where like I just have never been able to get myself to watch Rurouni Kenshin just because I don't want to support that man. So I think it's a case by case basis for me specifically.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Like, it depends on how involved the person is with the project and how much control. Now, like Dan Schneider and like the Nickelodeon shit that's going on behind the scenes, like most of the product of what I enjoyed, like iCarly and Drake and Josh for, are just the actors' performances in the scenes. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
if
I
not
can agree.
for the absolute commitment of Jerry Trainer, like most of the jokes don't land anyway.
Yeah,
So that I can
that's
watch
what.
and
Just,
enjoy and go on.
go, just right quick, I do want to mention that like stuff coming on stuff just becoming on fire is like it's fine. It's not super funny, but Jerry Trainer's reaction to things just randomly coming on fire while he's around them is incredible. So you're absolutely right. I think that the performances do add a lot to the separating the art from the artist. Go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, man.
Yeah, you're fine. Like I said, the when it comes to like these actually evil people creating art, it's a. And speaking of that, we're gonna have a different part of the docu series that we're gonna talk about soon. But the big part of it is enjoying what is created and giving credit to the good people involved. Like, I wouldn't want to completely and totally condone the creation of, like, Jeepers Creepers or iCarly or anything like this simply because the good people that worked on it deserve to be celebrated. Whereas, like you were saying with the manga artist, uh, nobody else really had a hand in it outside of the animation studio that was overworked and overburdened because the Japanese animation industry is just kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The same reason. Like, last night I was on Crunchyroll and I was like looking at Made in Abyss and I was like, ooh, oh, I want to do it. I'm probably not gonna do it though.
Yeah, like it's fucking disgusting. I told you that it's got some of the best world building I've ever seen. However, I can't ever recommend it to anybody, and I can't ever really get fully into it because it's very obvious what the manga artist is into. And I'm not even going to go into that right now because we're talking about this, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
sort
yeah.
of adjacent, but I also don't want to vomit.
Yeah, I mean it's to keep on the topic of separating the art from the artist. I think it's a case by case basis. I think like a lot of people around Kanye actually released a new album around like a month ago, and all of his fans were like, "Oh, just listen to it. Separate the art from the artist." It's like the artist is so involved in the art. Like you can't separate the art from the artist at that point because Kanye's album is just full of bars about like Nazism and like him hating on uh like talking to people. He's like, "Yeah, I said I hate Jews and I'm still the goat." It's like you cannot separate the art from the artist at that point because like you know what I
The
mean? Like
art is
it's
the
different
artist.
case.
Like, and like if the art form is touting like their ideology, it is entirely up to the individual as to whether or not they want to involve with it. They should be able to make the art. It shouldn't be
Yeah.
censored in a way unless it's actually actively hurting somebody. But
100%. Kanye has the right to
yeah,
say and release whatever music. He could make an
but
entire album talking about how much he loves Hitler. He can do that. I do
yeah,
agree.
yeah. But in the instance that he made that, I personally wouldn't enjoy it. I wouldn't want to involve myself with that art form.
Yeah.
Simply because it is like it doesn't matter how good of a flow or how good the lyricism or anything is in there. The core of the art is just rotten. It it would make me feel disgusted listening to it. Now, I joke a lot on the show and say a lot of fucked up dark comedy, but generally speaking, like when it comes to people actually having terribly, terribly dark points of view or like disgusting, actual like predatory behavior, I condemn them outright. Like I'd hate people that genuinely want to bring harm to others.
100%.
Like talking about back to like the docu series and such. I don't know how Brian Peck was allowed to continue working after it was discovered, like in a house party at his own home, that he was in direct contact and was a close friend and almost idolized John Wayne Gacy. Like that should have set off a massive red flag right then and there. Talking about separating the art from the
Okay.
artist. He collected John Wayne Gacy memorabilia, considered him a close friend, and was constantly talking about how close he was, and almost had like a infatuation with the man. That should have
Okay,
called
so
at least something to be concerned with.
I do have a counterpoint to this argument. It's not a good one, but there is a community and a I'm not sure how you would pronounce how you would describe this, but there is a group of people out there that actually do have written letters from mass murderers and mass rapists, whatever the fuck you want to call them, whatever they did. And it's not necessarily like the fascination of, oh, I want to do that. It's more or less trying to study the individual as to what would make them want to do that. Like, for instance,
The
there's a gentleman by the name of Merle Allen. By the way, he is Gigi Allen's brother. If you don't know who he
do
is, just look him up. And Merle
do
Allen had what?
do there's like I just wanted to, because the argument is already invalidated by the fact that this specific instance under Brian Peck, it's not an like him wanting to know why he did it. It's an actual infatuation with the man himself. Like he describes John Wayne Gacy as being a good friend to him. That's where I'm sort of like somebody who's into true crime dramas, or is like wanting to understand like what a serial killer, like their mindset. That's general just human curiosity morbidly wanting to know something. But when you contact a serial rapist and murderer and start talking as if he's a good man and you work directly with children, that should raise an alarm.
Go
Yeah,
on and
I
go on,
guess
Justin.
you're coming from, but yeah, like maybe a slight alarm, especially the whole with kids and things and about talking about saying he's a good person. But realistically, like there's even people who've even like contacted Ted Bundy and said that when he writes his letters, he sounds like a normal guy. They're not trying to defend him at all. It's just they're trying to explain how uncanny it is with how normal he seems. But of course, though, that's a facade. We all know that. But I don't know. Like when that whole thing I brought about John Wayne Gacy painting, like John Wayne back in the day when he was still alive before he got executed, like you can contact John Wayne Gacy for a painting and he would give you one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I simply think that anyone who would ask this man for a painting, I myself personally would say that that's a red flag, just because I think that that's getting a little bit too close, in my opinion. I think there's a difference in like watching the Dahmer series on Netflix.
Or
Oh, what's up?
or or just saying if you want to ask for a painting and you get the painting, he then gets executed. That painting could be worth a lot of money.
At that point, you're profiting off of serial murder, though, and that's morally condemnable in my opinion. Like,
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying those are some options. Those are reasons that people do it.
yeah, and I'm saying that it's still at least a moral gray area pushing towards the dark side. Like it's when you
Oh,
start
absolutely.
when your
It is.
primary argument is I wanted to make money off of a serial murderer and rapist. Like it's I'm so okay. It's not illegal, but you're still a piece of shit.
Well, yeah, obviously. But I'm just saying that's people do
Well,
that.
let me reframe. Uh, Making like the Dahmer TV series isn't morally condemnable because it's still making a profit off of these things, but that's more like informing people of the thought process and
Yeah,
just
that's more of a
telling the story
document.
of it. Like
Yeah, that's more of
getting
like documenting the
memorabilia,
events.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
getting John Wayne Gacy memorabilia to profit off of, like at that point, you are just you're just a piece of shit, in my opinion. Like you're getting money and profit using the deaths of innocent people and nothing more. Like there's nothing special about the painting other than it was made by a terrible human being.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a little bit of both sides, just because I think that there's a part of us, especially in America, we are obsessed with serial killers over here. Like everyone, I mean, look at podcasts. So many of the biggest podcasts are just people going over these reprehensible people and stuff like that. So I can understand the fascination. I'm not super fascinated myself in serial killers. I watched Dahmer. I watched a couple of podcasts about Jonestown, stuff like that. There is a part of
Yeah,
the human brain that wants to understand and sort of reckon with how evil some of our own species can be. I simply think that a line is drawn when you start collecting memorabilia from the person. That is my personal stance.
yeah, like the line of having an interest in the psychology of a serial killer and considering a serial killer to be a good friend and collecting memorabilia and describing them as like a good person and having them describe you, apparently having like becoming like pen pals between the two, like that should have almost immediately set off an alarm that something isn't right.
Yeah, I agree that part was just very disturbing. I think the absolute baseline, something we all three can agree with wholeheartedly, is that Brian Peck is probably one of the worst human beings to live on the face of the planet right now.
Well, him, and also Mr. John Handy,
Jason.
Jason Handy. Sorry.
Like,
Both of like for me, like Brian systematically getting Drake's dad out of his life that was malicious of a level that I didn't know existed out of anime. Like that was some Death Note shit. That
Yeah,
was so evil.
that was insane.
like, basically manipulating Drake's mother, everybody around him on set, getting him a new manager, supplanting himself into like a fatherly role in his life, just to get him isolated with him, and basically took the first opportunity that he could to do what Drake describes as the worst acts that you could possibly do somebody in that manner. Like, and the fact that he got 16 months. 16 months for doing that. Like, it makes
that is
me
a punch in the
angry in a
fucking
way.
Mm.
It makes me angry in a way that can't really be described, because I can only imagine that the judge was influenced by all the letters and such that are coming in by other members of Hollywood that were friends with Drake, that knew the effects that this could have. Like, when you go up to bat for a child molester in front of the victim, I have zero sympathy for any of the people who did that. And the worst part is, like, before this docuseries, I had enjoyed their work before, but that's an instance where, like, I can't, like, I'm able to disconnect, like, a writer from it, even though it's their craft, like, the story that is being told is their story. It's easier for me to disconnect a writer than it is an actor, because I'm constantly seeing this person on the screen, and I can't help but think back to the fucking shit they did.
And to be clear, there were a couple of people who recanted and said, "Oh, I wouldn't have sent in that letter if I had known the specifics." But also, like,
Yeah, I was about to say that.
but also, they said they didn't know the specifics. The specifics being that it was with a child. Okay, because the original letter, what the information that those people had wasn't that it was a child, wasn't that it was Drake Bell, but they had the words forced oral copulation, forced anal copulation, and forced bondage. They had those were no, the bondage thing was handy, my bad. They had the word, they once you see the word forced oral copulation, yeah, no, like saying, "Oh, I didn't have the full picture." Bullshit. It doesn't matter. Like, what?
Well, I'll play devil's advocate for 1 second. One of them did say that she was not aware at all about. Or she said that at first it was allegations, and she said it couldn't be true. I know him, right? And then she found out exactly what had happened. Allegations were true. It wasn't like just someone bullshitting, and she found out that he admitted to it. Then she's like, "Yeah, he's a fucking monster." Like, keep in mind, like, a lot of these people didn't know that he admitted to it. But some of them did. And they're like, "Oh, it was a lapse in..." One person said it was a lapse in reason. He's a lapse of judgment. I'm sure he didn't mean to do that. That's the kind of people who are like, what the fuck?
Yeah. My issue with that type of argument is that whenever you're writing, like, a letter of recommendation or something like that to a judge when it comes to a case, you should be familiar enough with the case to make an actual, like, point to it. Like, you shouldn't just be writing something up for a friend. Like, I hate to put it to you guys like this, but if either of you end up on trial for doing some shit like this, I'm going to familiarize myself with the case to determine whether or not I think you guys actually did it before I write down the shit. Like, if one of you guys fucking admit to it, I'm setting up the gallows for you. Like, I'm going to stare you down as they hang you. I would hope you do the same for anybody else, myself included, if, like, some fucked up shit happens. Like,
Absolutely.
it's saying I didn't know that he admitted it just tells me that you wrote that you heard that he was accused of rape and didn't even think to listen to the potential victim.
That is true. That's an absolute aspect. It's it's heavy, man. It's so heavy. All the stuff with Brian, and I absolutely agree with what you're saying, Ryan. Like the idea that, like even with your absolute closest compadres, if you hear like allegations such as that, you should not immediately send in a letter saying it's like saying some stuff like that. You need to like conversate, get the information. Uh, yeah. So when the news comes out that all these jokes about Ryan like spanking me in the night, like I'm just gonna say it right now, those are true. Those are not jokes. Like the Spanky Boy Corner is real, and I simply think that some people need to be held accountable for it. So yeah, you're going on the chopping block, bud. I'm sorry.
I don't think that you heard that, but it's not
Was-
picking up on the microphone. It'll
did-
probably come up on thing. I'm smacking a belt together right now.
He's admitting to it. He's admitting to it. He's admitting to it. He's admitting to it.
Let me grab the bigger one real quick. Let me just let's see. This one might come through. That didn't come through.
No,
I
it did
didn't
not.
hear it.
Maybe if I'm talking as I'm doing it, then maybe it'll come through then.
Good try. Try.
Like, let's just hold like a small.
Like whenever the belt is supposed to be smacking, I hear like dead silences in your audio.
Discord is literally censoring it. You'll hear it on
Yeah.
the podcast, I guess.
What if Discord just like censors any crime, so you could there could just be someone in like your corner just
They're not joking. It's real. It's real.
and you're just over here like, yeah, so I went to
Down,
Panera Bread.
Javier.
You're just like, yeah, I went to Panera Bread yesterday. None of it comes through. Oh my god. I will say, like, after 51 minutes of talking about like Dan Schneider, Dan, Brian, and Jason, the three horsemen of like evil, I definitely needed a couple of jokes because this has been a heavy episode, boys. I think we gave it the respect it deserved, though.
At least best we
really
could.
touch on like all the shit that happened. Like we didn't touch on the fact that like all the shit that John Handy fucking did, or Jason Handy, whatever the fuck you want to call him, the evil man.
Oh yeah, bro, that like sent the picture to that girl and then she like went into a room. That was oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, I don't know. The only thing I'll because I don't really want to go into that story because it disgusted me so deeply. Like his descriptions and like his pride in it. Like I almost want to vomit right now. I don't know how the mother didn't immediately contact the FBI or something. Like he sent photographic evidence. You had the email. You could have just called the cops and gotten the fucker out of there.
Like I know like her their rationale, I'll be honest, the culture in Hollywood is just sick. Like why did she feel like she couldn't say something cuz she wanted her child to remain on the show and didn't want to start any ruckus? Like I don't understand, dude.
Like she'd said, I think one of the things she said, like, "Oh, you don't want to be thought of as like a bad parent." I'm like, okay, now I think you're a bad parent because you're more worried about your image than the safety of your child. Granted, she got her child offset almost immediately, and just like took her off the show and then moved on.
But
And,
she also
like,
left it open for Jason to do that to other kids.
yeah, that's the issue that I have. And that she basically just allowed him to continue doing whatever the fuck he wanted. And the docuseries pretty much says that he got to other children. Like, in his journals, he brags about some of the shit and, like, threatening children to keep them silent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that what the mother did was extremely, like, I obviously like I don't want to like victim blame or anything here. I know the mother went through some terrible stuff, having to know that happened. But like, my God, I really just I think her rationale for not speaking up, I didn't understand it myself.
Yeah, like it. I can feel sympathy for the victim while also saying just putting out the message to like an audience and say, hey, if you see something like this, fucking tell the police.
Yeah, like, it's
please.
it's so stupid. Hello.
And I'm rubbing my eyes because like I was laid down, like staring up at the ceiling. I had drifted off whenever you called to talk about pedophiles in the middle of the fucking night.
What other time of day
Now
would you have preferred to talk about Jason, Brian, and the boys?
I wouldn't want to talk about them at all. I'd prefer. I can't say that on broadcast, or at least not here, because I'm not gonna go through and fucking censor anything that I would say, but just know I have some choice words and action suggestions against the people who committed crimes against children in this.
All right, well let's try to get it at a nice even hour. Well, even with the intro and outro, it's not gonna end up being an hour anyway. But anyway, for the next minute and 30 or so seconds, anything else you guys want to talk about?
Well,
I have something to talk about.
I'm gonna flip a coin.
Never
whichever
mind,
one of you guys.
No,
Nope,
never
nope.
mind. Ryan took it. I was gonna say it, but Ryan already did it. He beat me to it.
Oh, I'll flip a coin as to which one of you gets to talk about it. And all right, 1, 2, and it is Justin.
We didn't even decide which one is which. Ryan, you talk about it. Fuck it.
What do you mean we didn't decide which one is which? I made one Ryan and one Justin. What?
And he said,
You didn't say which was
like a cargo freighter, basically like 9/11 the Baltimore Bridge this morning.
Oh my God.
Yesterday morning. Yeah, it made contact at like 3 a.m. The crew, I shouldn't say 9/11 because that implies that the crew meant to do it. They sent out SOS signals, contacted the local authorities to get the bridge shut down, so that because the power to the ship shut down and they could not control it, and it was just on a collision course with the Baltimore Bridge.
Yep.
And when it went down, like one section went down and the entire bridge just collapsed. I think the ship ended up sinking.
No, I think it's still intact. I think the ship's fine. It's just that bridge, like, it fucking crumpled like a piece of paper.
Yeah, like 8 vehicles went missing. I think 7 people went missing. Like, they're assumed dead because of just the sheer amount of destruction that occurred. It was fucking awful. However, I did see a really funny meme edit of the "Fuck You Baltimore" meme with the footage in the background, so that was a pick me up.
All right, so I unfortunately you generally only send like funny stuff, like in the main chat where all 3 of us are in. You normally only send like funny stuff and memes and things of that nature. So I watched it. I watched the entire 20-second clip you sent of this disaster, and I got to the end and I was like, huh. I mean, it was kind of funny, but I mean, I don't really know what was happening.
And now you know, and now it's worse.
I was like, I mean, that was kind of funny. It was like a funny little YouTube animation of a bridge exploding. That's kind of cool. Like, I had no idea that you were just sending me like the new 9/11. That's wild. That's insane.
Oh,
he see the 327.
Just did that.
Wait, what, right?
It's weird how the bridge just did that. Like that's crazy, man.
No context.
I'm just saying.
Go on.
I'm just saying that bridge, this whole bridge attack, this Detroit bridge was an inside job. Okay, there's no fucking way that ship fucking crumpled that whole bridge with one little knock. Okay.
Bro, this ain't 9/11. This is 1822.
Like,
this is 327, bro.
I don't.
Yeah.
Or 326, technically. I'm sorry.
I know you don't actually believe that, But just in case somebody out there does, I don't think the bridge was designed to withstand being rammed by a cargo freighter.
Just in case for you dumbasses out there, form your conspiracy theories, okay? You fucking idiots.
There's no way. It's not going to end any other way than bridge go boom.
Like, it literally looked like Donkey Kong just like got a punch ready and just hit it with a banana slam out. Like, he absolutely destroyed it.
I just have my friend Alex, like, because I had growing up, I had an autistic friend that I would play online games with named Alex, and anytime he would have any charge up attack in a game, he'd just yell out, "Banana Slammer!"
I need you to stop. The thing is, I wouldn't find this funny in the slightest. Like, I wouldn't be laughing at all, not even a little bit, if my first introduction to this event was you sending a clip of it in a mostly meme channel, and me being like, oh, it's kind of interesting. Oh, where was the joke? Turns out there was no joke. It was just a disaster. Like, I'm just gonna say this. I'm really, really glad that like our Discord meme channel wasn't active in 2002, because I would be so behind the times. Like, you would have sent it, and I wouldn't have seen that it happened yet. And I would be like, huh, that's a funny little animation. Why are those towers falling? Like, what's going on there?
Have you never seen the "Fuck You Baltimore" meme though?
No, I have not.
Alright, so for the last minute of this, we'll have you look at this and get like a live reaction. I can edit it in the corner or something.
Okay.
Alright, 3.
Wait, not yet. How do I get to? Okay, here it is. All right, go ahead.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
It's not playing yet. It says the video is age restricted.
Alright, going back to the beginning because you can't hit OK.
It's age restricted.
Did you click the YouTube link?
Alright, watch on YouTube.
I will kill you.
Alright, wait, watch on YouTube. Wait a second, give me a second. Ooh. Ba. Ay. Da. Okay, it's not pulling up yet. Give me a second. Okay. It says it may be inappropriate for some users.
Okay, and just hit accept to watch the fucking video.
Okay. Alright, I'm good. I'm ready to start.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go.
Fuck you, Baltimore!
If you're dumb enough to buy a new car this weekend,
You're a big enough schmuck to come to Big Bill Hell's Cars!
bad deal.
Cars that break down!
Thieves.
If you think you're gonna find a bargain at Big Bill,
You can kiss my ass.
it's our belief that you're such a stupid motherfucker!
You'll fall for this bullshit.
Guaranteed!
If you find a better deal,
Shove it up your ugly ass!
you heard us right.
Shove it up your ugly ass!
Bring your tray.
Bring your title!
Bring your wife.
Wheel fucker!
That's right, we'll fuck your wife.
Because it's Big Bill Hell!
You're fucked 6 ways from Sunday.
Take a hike!
to Big Bill Hell.
Home of challenge pissing!
That's right.
Challenge pissing!
How does it work?
If you can piss 6 feet in the air straight up and not get wet,
You get no down payment.
don't wait!
Don't delay.
Don't fuck with us or we'll rip your nuts off!
Only at Big Bill
The
Hell.
only dealer that tells you to fuck off!
Hurry up, asshole.
This event ends the minute after you write us a check.
And it better not bounce or you're a dead motherfucker.
Go to hell!
Big Bill Hell's Cars.
Baltimore's filthiest
And exclusive home of one of the meanest sons of bitches in the state of Maryland.
guaranteed!
That was art.
And now to simply scroll up to the previous meme.
Alright. A bridge now? Like, I don't understand why I'm so fascinated by this.
Whoa, what the fuck?
What? Nah, like what? Nah, it ain't like that.
Look, we're not talking about a crime here per se. There are people who work as destruction workers. There's tear down employees.
No, like I like how you're trying to save this for me, Ryan, but like I want to be Datara from Naruto. Like I don't care what building it is. I don't care if there's people in it. I really just want to blow it up.
And we'll just end it right there after you say that.
I really just want to be Datara. Just art is an
So
explosion.
then we're done.
Yeah.